We next discuss a few of the advanced object-oriented programming concepts for the rest of the video series, starting with inheritance. In the natural hierarchy of classes and objects, the child or derived class inherits the properties, methods, and events of the parent or base class. This is a powerful way to reuse the code and use the object models, such as Excel's object model discussed before, in an efficient manner. In addition to all the parent's properties, methods, and events, the child class has additional properties, methods, and events of its own. Because the parent class can itself be a child of another class, you can see how the collection of the classes builds into a class and object hierarchy. Again, think about Excel's object model. In VB, the keyword inherit identifies the parent of a class. At this point, we will again be ready to switch to FRM mortgage loans form and review the interface and code. But before we do that, we'll just sort of describe the overall idea, which is to have a new class called mortgage that inherits all the elements of our loan class. Although we could have extended the hierarchy as it's shown on the slide into fixed and adjustable mortgages as separate classes, I decided to use the loan type property to distinguish between the two, as you'll see shortly. So the mortgage class, in addition to everything it inherited from the parent loan class or loan base class, will then have fewer properties and methods of its own. Those would basically take care of the adjustable rate mortgages, these guys over here. The type of mortgage is fixed, the object of type mortgage acts exactly the same as the object of type loan. When the mortgage is adjustable, however, there is an initial period during which the initial interest rate applies and after which the rate resets, typically to a significantly higher interest. So, in addition to the initial interest rate, the same rate property used for the conventional fixed rate mortgages, the mortgage class needs another property called ARM rate or ARM rate or adjustable mortgage rate, as well as ARM term that defines the breaking point between the initial and the subsequent period, all of which we will see again in a minute. Okay, so let us switch to the payment calculator project, okay, and take a look at the interface for FRM mortgage loans, which has again the amount borrowed, term in years, and then the interest rate, which I'll describe this list box a little bit in detail. If the type of mortgage is selected is adjustable rate mortgage, there are going to be two options for the reset after first 3 years or after first 5 years, and the objective in either case, whether fixed or adjustable, is to calculate the monthly payment, and we'll talk about that in the next video again shortly. Okay, so the first thing you want to talk about is that once we switch to the code and scroll to the bottom, is that there is a blank new class mortgage, which is going to be this child class of the loan type. So the first thing we have to specify is that fact that the class mortgage inherits loan class. Okay, and just by typing these two words, all the properties, methods, events of the loan class now apply to mortgage class as well. In addition, we're going to have a public property ARM for adjustable rate mortgage rate as double. Okay, that is the higher rate after the initial period of either 3 or 5 years, as you'll see. And then the choice between the two, 3 or 5 years in this case, although they could be in reality more than that, is managed by public property ARM term as integer. So it's either 3 or 5 in our case. Okay, so those are the two additional properties. We'll have calculate monthly payment method or function in the next video, and other than that, this is going to be it for the mortgage class. So let's scroll back up to the top and notice that I already placed in the declaration and instantiation of the mortgage object called credit. Okay, and what I need to talk about some more, is I need to explain specifically these two lines of code in the form load event. Okay, so because there's a potential to have more than one interest rate. We have to modify the design of this list box called LST rate. Scroll down to the bottom in the property box, you'll see a selection mode from one to multi-simple. Okay, in other words, we can select more than one more than one rate. Okay, the default after the form load runs, which is immediately as soon as the form is loaded, is going to be the first element, which is 3%, and the 10th, which I think is 4%. Okay, then we need to move to the checked changed event here, right? Managing the changes in this checkbox here, right? If the checkbox is checked, okay, then they have to make this group box here available with these two adjustable rate mortgage options of 3 or 5 years. So we'll code that first by typing if chk arm dot checked is true, then what we need to have is grp arm dot visible is true. Okay, so we're going to make this basically group box with these two options available. Okay, typically I put this equals to true, or again you don't really have to. Okay, once it's visible, what we're going to do, we're going to make sure that the LST rate dot selection mode, okay, is set to selection mode dot multi-simple, in case it was changed to the single item selection because the previous mortgage was a fixed rate loan rather than the adjustable rate mortgage. Okay, then we're going to set the type of the credit object, type property, to adjustable. Okay, and then we're going to check which one of the two radio buttons or option buttons was selected. The default is 5, I think. If that one's checked, then the credit object and its ARM term property is obviously 5 years, else the other one must be checked, so the term is 3 years. Okay, so this takes care of the case when we do want to have adjustable rate mortgage. The else here deals with the fixed rate mortgage, in which case the grp arm.visible is false. Okay, we don't have the option to select it. The selection mode for the list box is just one, just one, as in one interest rate, and the credit type is not adjustable, but rather it is fixed. Okay, I'm going to delete some of these blank rows. Then we move to the user click event, right? The button click event. We don't have everything yet to process this, but we do have the amount, the term, and the rate. We don't have the calculation for the monthly payment. That's going to be the subject of the next video. So we'll grab the credit dot amount from the CMTB amount text box, as we've been doing all along in previous videos. We'll grab the term. Okay, and this is now the full 30-year, 25-year mortgage. It's an integer form CBO term dot text. Okay, and then it's going to depend if chk arm dot checked, right? Checked. If that's true, then we have an adjustable rate mortgage. Okay, else we have a fixed rate mortgage. So we'll deal with a more complicated one first. Then we have two interest rates. That's the key point here. The credit dot rate, the regular rate, or the first one in this case, okay, is picked up and converted to double from the list box. List rate dot selected items collection dot item of 0. So that's the first one. Okay, so that's the first one, and then it's divided by 100. Okay, and then we're assuming there are only two that are selected, and the second one with the index of 1 is then used for the other interest rates after the reset, so ARM rate. Okay, so this defines two rather than a single interest rate. Okay, in case that the checkbook is not checked, this means it's a fixed rate mortgage. The only thing we have is the credit dot rate is C double LST rate dot text divided by 100, as we've had in the previous videos. Okay, so really the only thing left to do is to implement the calculate payment method of the mortgage loan. You'll see that in the next video, and then use it over here to get that monthly payment. So in case you have the adjustable rate mortgage, the monthly payment you'll get is the one after the rate is reset. That's the trick here, right? The initial 3 years or initial 5 years is going to be the same as the fixed rate monthly payment. That's why I have only one text box here. I could make it into two, make it more complicated, but again, this is not about finance, but rather about these object-oriented programming concepts. So we're going to go back to the presentation and pause.